Hey, what's going on, y'all? Back with another one. Back with another one. Yeah, this is we're gonna talk about part six of Sumer. We talked about 4 and 5. Appreciate y'all for supporting the clip or whatever, that I did two parts in one video and it got some good views. Shouts out to everybody supporting the series. But we'll end the series the Wednesday after. You know what I'm saying? But it's picking up a lot of steam. But shouts out to people and the few new subscribers that I get. Yeah, really appreciate it because I'm just trying to get back into the pre-record thing, the swing of things, and just really, yeah, I got haters, but that's all good. That's part of it. I always get the hate, and that's part of it. Because when I used to pre-record, I used to get a lot of hate on these videos years ago, and this ain't the first time. This ain't the last. This is who I am with the standard. Um, it's gonna be like this for the whole year. Next year, I'm not gonna be talking about this stuff. I'll talk about something different pre-records. The historical stuff is just a reference of what I've done for probably 12 years ago, and then I keep it fresh so y'all can learn that I've talked about pieces like that. I could do a piece like that. I don't have to talk like for hours and just get into segments. Now, live streaming it, I might do and just explain a little bit, and then I'll take it back and then just speak my mind on it. I'll do something like that. Oh, excuse me. Let's see something real quick. I'm gonna big up the screen for a minute. Let's see. Let's see how much if it's got any file stuff. Okay. Not too bad. Not too bad. Ziggurats. Okay, what we talking about here? Okay, it's not. It's clean. Okay, it's clean, 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 clean. Good, good. Consumers usually clean. A lot of stuff's got a lot of stuff we got to skim through, and then I have to, YouTube purposes. YouTube is sensitive about the explicit content that it's educational explicit. This website, shouts out to this website, but it usually goes to show you they're sensitive. But back then, YouTube let you way to get away with murder, but that's all nother stuff. Okay, we're the ancient man, his first civilization, Sumer 6, modern day Iraq, or most people pronounce it Iraq. I heard people pronounce Iraq or Iraq. It don't matter. It's out in that region. So yeah. So when we last left in Sumer, the Hatti had sacked Babylon, and the Amorite dynasty of the Hammurabi was at the end. But the Kassites, that's right here, right? We're talking about these people. It's a Kassite or Kassites, or excuse me, Kassites. Yeah, Kassites. Okay, the Kassites. Earlier, the Kassites had migrated in the northwestern part of Elam. More Indus Valley refugees. They came from Indus Valley. See, a lot of people came from Indus Valley. They they're part of Elam, the Elamite culture. That would be Semitic culture, and then eventually they became, the Persian and the Medes and all that stuff. That's a scripture, but give you an idea of those people. Those people don't exist anymore. They're probably different antiquities because the Ottoman Turks then took over certain lands, and you know how that goes, the interbreeding and all that. The culture. I talked about Persian culture before, but it explains that in those valley, all that's connected to one little history thing. Okay, by 1800 BCE, but they have begun a waterward movement towards the Mesopotamia from Elam. They at first tried to make war, but after three defeats by Sami Samsulinia Ashipu, but they instead quietly filtered into Mesopotamia, but they established their own towns and the principalities with the fall of the Amorite dynasty of the Hammurabi, but they found their opening and were able to gradually take over the whole Mesopotamia. But it was a Kassite king, Yulam Barish or something like that. I'll say Ulam. I won't say Ulam, who was later campaigned in the south, but finally defeated the Sumerian princes in the sea land of Chaldea in 1450 BCE. The Assyrians, okay? Let's pause now and introduce the Assyrians. The Assyrians were people who lived in the northernmost part of Mesopotamia. Although their history, they had tried to establish their own kingdom, and each time they tried, they were beaten down by one of their stronger neighbors, or even new invader during the Amorite dynasty of Hammurabi, and they have been brutally repressed. So when Hammurabi's dynasty collapsed, they rebelled and declared independence, but they didn't stop there. After they finally succeeded in establishing their own kingdom, but then went on a campaign of a conquest expansion with the cruelty that was until then unknown. Yeah, they was getting beat by the Amorite culture, and the Assyrians got huge then. And here's the scriptures of the wiki. Assyrian sculpture is a sculpture of the ancient Assyrian states, especially the Neo-Assyrian Empire of 911 to 612 BCE, which ruled modern Iraq, Syria, and much of Iran. It is formed of the phrase of the art of Mesopotamia, but different, particular because of its much greater use of stone and gypsum and alabaster for the large sculpture. But much of the best known, who was from the Lamasu guarding the entranceways in the Assyrian palace, released on the side of the alabaster, which is were originally was painted, at least in the part and in the fix of and in the well-known around man wealth rooms of places. But most of these art museums, Europe or America, following a hectic and period of the evacuations from 1842 to 1855 in this current timeline. Well, now we're in the 21st century. Okay. Which it took Assyrian part art form. See, that was back in 19th century when this happened. Just FYI, right there. Okay, an art form and a completely unknown to being in the subject of the several best-selling books irritated in the political cartoons. Remember that the current non-black people of Egypt and the surroundings of the countries have no direct connection to those ancient cultures. They are, for the most part, Turks and Turk mulattoes. Yeah, the Ottoman Turk type people. Yeah, that's what they are. And we ain't gonna read the rest of that. It's no need. Then you see the Syrian bringing the vessels and the 18th dynasty reign of Tutmosis III, Amenhotep II, and fascinated by Nina DeGaris Davis in 1881 to 1965, Metropolitan Museum Art, and that's in New York, by the way. And you see this, what you see right here. That's a little art. You got the Aegean Islanders tomb of the Rakamir 18th dynasty room of Tutmosis III, early Amenhotep II, fascinated by Nina, but Degaris. I mean, excuse me, Degaris Davies from 1881 to 1965. Yeah, the same thing in New York. You see this in New York in that area. Like all the ancient created civilizations, modern albinos have created bogus artifacts. Yeah, that's getting to the racial part. We know. We see it right here. Syrian art taken. Yeah, that's what they. Much has been made. The Assyrian Persian hairstyles, actually, they are still common black hairstyles, which produce waves and curly ends when lard down. And they show you the old cultures like this. Hey, debating. It's an idea. Don't say that's an idea. Shouts out to this per realhistory.com. He's breaking down what the people would. It's an idea. Now they may look different in facial features, but the complexion is there. That's what he's going by. But in reality, it's an idea. Now, I know everybody say we're all the same. Not necessarily true. You get away from that. Every culture has the darker skin. Yeah. So it's different back then how the cultures were. 700 BCE, the relief from the palace of King Sargon II. Yeah, right here. And that's it. And then the coin of Shapur the first. But that's an idea that's showing a woman. I get what he's doing right here. So we're gonna scroll down. Okay, the parsley ziggurat of the cast site of the Dur Kurla Galazu, the modern Akwar Kuf. They gave it a Muslim name, the Akwar Kuf or something like that, but it's a ziggurat right here. That's what it really is. Into ziggurat. So the Assyrian soldiers, we're talking about the Assyrians now. Kassite king Kurigalazu, yeah, excuse me, Dur Kurigalazu, or modern Aquakuf, and then there's Dur Kurigalazu. Galazu right here. Kurigalazu II fought several ways, several wars against the Assyrians, but was defeated by them. But after his death, his successor sought an all themselves, which the Hatti in order to stop the expansion of the Assyrians. But during the reign of Kassite, king Kasha Kashadalash Kashalash IV, 1232 to 1225 BCE, Babylonia waged war of two fronts at the same time against the Elam in Assyria. It ended in a catastrophic invasion, but the destructions of Babylon by Assyrian king Tukati Tuku Tukukiti Nurata the first. Okay, Tukukiti Nurata the first. It was not known until the time the king Adashun Ushur, 1216 to 1187 BCE, but that Babylon was again also experienced a period of peace and prosperity. But his Kassite successor were again forced to fight, this time facing the conqueror of King Shushrak Nashnut of Elam. But the Elamites have destroyed the dynasty of Kashites during these wars. Yeah, the Kashites are gone now. Kassites. The Assyrian soldiers punished the Arab forces, frame one. You see that? That's the old like that. The Assyrian Ashmun Anampul, 645 to 635 BCE, the Gypsum, and with the panel relief, the Assyrians imprisoned the Arab forces through the country and Assyrian chariots and all this stuff. Yeah, you see that back and forth defeat and all that. Show you the wars and all this stuff. And a close up of the Assyrian army fell as soldiers, musicians, palaces, and all that. Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar the first, right here, King Nebuchadnezzar, right here. You also read this in scripture as well. Meanwhile, in a series of heavy wars about which is not much known, for one, Marduk, Kabit, Ashkanshu. I mean, Ashu, excuse me, Ashu, Marduk, Kabit, Ashu. 1155 to 1135 BCE established what came to be known as the Second Dynasty of Ishan. However, he and his successor were often forced to continue fighting against the Elamites. But the most famous king of Ishan dynasty was Nebuchadnezzar I, 1119 to 1098 BCE. He fought mainly against Elam, which had conquered and ravaged large part of Babylonia. But his first part was attack against Elam's miscarried because of the epidemic among his troops. But later campaign, he conquered Susa of the capital of Elam. But soon thereafter, the king of Elam was assassinated, and then his kingdom once again fell apart into small city states. Into small states, excuse me, small states. After Nebuchadnezzar the first died, he he was succeeded by his brother Marduk Nadin Ahim, 1093 to 1076 BCE. He was the first successful in wars against Assyria, but he later experienced heavy defeat. And that's what happened, And this is this piece right here. We're still reading. Assyrian, the Assyrian king Salamanzer the third, collapsing hands with the Marduk and Zaknahum, the king of Babylon, the 850 BCE. And that's what you see. The gestures, what's going on. And it's a crazy time at that time. The Armenians, the Armenians, not Armenians, but Armenians, Armenians, right? The Armenian king Hazael. The famine of the catastrophic proportions triggered an attack from the Armenian tribes, not Armenian, but Armenian tribes, right? Armenian, the name given to the Federation of the Amorite tribes, which have evolved, perhaps a result of the Hyksos, because of the Hyksos expulsion, but the form of the country is called Arum, Aromenians, yeah, Aromenians, not Armenians, but Aromenians, right? His successor made the peace of the Assyria, but the country suffered more and more and from the repel attacks by Aromenians and the Semitic nomads. Even though the same of the Ishan kings still assumed grand titles, but they were able to stem to the progressive uh, desecration of the empire, Chaldea, but the sea land. It was at the time of the chaos and the confusion, but the Sumerian of princes in the south of the resorted in the independence, but they followed the area known as the second dynasty of the Seal or Chaldea, 1020 to 1000 BCE. But the sea land of or Chaldea refers to the southern coastal area of Sumer. But the Assyrians, meanwhile, had defeated the kings of the Mixatini and first stature of the first and Wasa Hatia, and this has enabled them for the time to incorporate all Mesopotamians into their empire. But although in later struggles that they lost large parts of the Hattian empire, they would say, right? And one of these Assyrian kings, I'll say it like this: what's this? Ashurhurna Arsarpal II, 883, 859 BCE, but while continuing the policy of conquest and expansion, left detail among his campaign vile stela and carved relief, which was impressive in cruelty. That's what the guy said, right? I'll say Ash the Second. He's got a mouthful of a name. I can't even. Sorry about the mispronunciation on that, but I'll say Ash the Second. Reign 883, 859 BCE. That's this guy right here. It's showing, and then it says Shamishi Adad the fifth, reign 824 to 811 BCE. And this is a hard period at the time. Yeah, they say cruelty and all this other stuff. But the defeat of enemies were impaled, flayed, or beheaded in great numbers. Mass deportations, however, we found several interests of growing empire better than a terror. Through the systematic exchange of native populations, conquered regions were uh, detentionalized, and new people were brought in. It was cutting heads off, man. They weren't playing. Syrian reliefs, yeah, Syrian reliefs, and then you got your cultures and all that stuff. Yeah, the Assyrian fishermen and all that. The Alamun. This is the Alamun tomb. Like we're going down. We see all this stuff right here. How much time we got? Okay, 18. We got 16 minutes in. This is not going to be a long one. This is kind of short. So it's pretty much the same in reference and but the scene search, siege, assaults, conquest, Alamun, 700 BCE, but there's no agreement the exactly where the outpost of Alamun was. Okay. And that's right, the pictures right here. And that's it. So the Gypsium was a wall paint relief showing prisoners from the town of the Alamun in the lower register and the Assyrian soldiers, but the auxiliaries bring the heads of the prisoners after the officers, kings, guard carrying carried long staff, large rounded shield, but they're followed by the prisoners, but handcuffed to the belt, one being executed en route, and women with children who, judging from the dresses, and Assyrian type scene is set between river plentiful and fish and road trees, and which was pointed in Syria and the weapons of land, and then careful with the decorated fillet has no consulate, and okay, corselet, and the executing of a prisoner has cross straps into the holes of the short skirt. But the prisoners have other plans: the skirts, shorts, cloaked, some others material apparently woven, and upper wrist, and two scribes are recording, one tablet another, and the parchments enrolled in heads and brought by auxiliaries. Yeah, see, they was barbaric back then. This is how the stuff was, and that's the accounts. The scene with the siege, assault, conquest, 700 BCE. You see that, and yeah, decapitations of people, and then you see the heads. You can't see it real good, but that did happen. They show the heads of people they did in the feet. But the scene from the siege and assault, conquest, Alamun, 700 BCE. Okay, today many black men still favor the short hair and the beard of the Alamun. That's just an idea. You see this with ethnics and all that. Okay, this is pretty short. Um, we talked about the Kassites, the Assyrians. We talked about a little bit of the Chaldeans. We're going to talk about them the next go around, because I feel like that's what we're doing on the next one. We'll see what we got on number 7. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Chaldeans on number 7. That's the ones we're going to talk about. They're more like wizards back in the day, and this still talk about Assyria, the last part. And this is a and then we talk about the Turk Ottoman Empire. We're going to talk about that. We just mentioned the Arab conquest. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff next week on Wednesday. So you really get to see what's what. So right here, I'm gonna stop it, and I'm going to knock off the screen. And yeah, it's been 22 minutes. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, it's been a good time and then this stuff forward. So basically, I'm just gonna keep it real with y'all. I like talking about this group of people because they have a lot of vast history. Samaria was this one culture. It's a vast culture. It goes way, way back and before Babylon became a thing. And then you talk about the Chaldeans, the wizards that actually did their thing, and they had their own thing. We'll talk about them next week. And that's part number 7. So part number 7 is pretty much what we see now. See part 6, and I gotta see which part we on. Okay, part 4 and 5. We're gonna say 6 and 7 in Sumer. So this is gonna be what we have now. So keep this going. So yeah, So with that, shalom to the people of Israel, to the Gentiles. Until next time, I'll see y'all next week. Yes, we're gonna talk about the Chaldeans, and this is it. And this is all how much I have gotten. And yeah, this is my part 6, and it's very short, but I know it's a little long, but it's kind of short on the information. So with that, until next time, I'm signing off and I'm out.